All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's demo of Reclaim. We're going to be walking through the product, our most popular features, and how you can get started with smart scheduling with Reclaim, whether you are a brand new user or an existing user that's looking to learn a little bit more about what you can do with the app. So I'm going to share my screen and we can dive right in. There's a Q&A section where you can leave questions that I'll check through as we go. Again, if there's any technical issues, let me know in the Q&A so I can adjust that. But I'm going to share my screen and we can dive right in. Okay, so if you have already gotten started with Reclaim, you're probably a little bit familiar with this view. If this is brand new to you, this is the Reclaim app. Reclaim is a web app where you can log in from the website. You can also do shortcuts for desktop and mobile so that it's easy to access. And this is the view that you open up to, which is the Reclaim Planner. Now, Reclaim is a smart scheduling tool for Google Calendar. We do have Outlook calendar support coming soon, which is really exciting, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But currently, it's a Google Calendar supported scheduling tool. And this is Reclaim's UI, where you can work on your scheduling from in Reclaim. If this is what you would like to do, you can also manage your schedule once you're set up from in Google Calendar, in Slack, with shortcuts in Raycast for Mac users. But essentially, this is your view in Reclaim. And I'm going to be working between Google Calendar and the Reclaim UI just to showcase a few different perspectives. But the idea of Reclaim is that it works with the tools that you're already using. So it's not made to replace anything. It's not some fancy new calendar that you have to adopt using to get the benefits from. It really is supposed to fit into the workflow that you've already got going on. So I'm going to be working Reclaim, but just so you know that you can use it where you're already working. Now, if you are brand new to Reclaim, Reclaim is a smart scheduling app that uses intelligent orchestration to build out a daily plan around all of your priorities. So you tell Reclaim what's important to you, what you want to make time for, and it automatically builds out your schedule to make sure you have time for those things in your calendar every single week. Now, the great thing about Reclaim, and if you've ever tried manually time blocking your calendar, you might have run into this, it doesn't allow for much flexibility. You can spend, 2 hours on a Sunday building out your perfect plan for the week ahead, and then a change comes up, someone schedules a meeting over top of another thing that you had planned to do at that time, or you are sick one day and you have to find new times throughout the week for everything else that you had planned for the day. You end up spending so much time managing your schedule manually that it isn't a productive tool to time block your calendar. And Reclaim really optimizes that whole process by, like a virtual assistant, taking on everything that you say that you want to make time for and automatically building out your calendar around those things, but also keeping you flexible enough for collaboration with your team so it doesn't block up your calendar to prevent you from taking new meetings, as well as adapting to those changes when you have conflicts that come up. So you might be sick one day, or someone else cancels a meeting, or a new meeting gets booked. Reclaim automatically manages finding the next best time for everything that you had scheduled, so you don't have to go in and manually move things around on your calendar. So with that intro out of the way, let's take a look at some of the popular smart scheduling features that Reclaim offers. And like I mentioned at the beginning, we have a few new exciting projects coming out early this year, and we have a beta sign up for that as well. So I will share those. But these are what the tools you'd probably see right now look like. So we have our planner where you have your classic calendar view. Everything's color blocked around your different categories of events. You'll notice that in the Reclaim UI, we have events that are solid time blocks where there's solid color, which means that they're currently marked as busy on your calendar. And this free busy controls comes up a few times, so I want to mention it now. And then you have alternatively, you have this dashed outline over an event. So the dashed outline of events are currently marked as free. Now, free and busy are labels that are used for digital calendars, like Google Calendar uses those as well. It essentially means when an event is sort of reserved on your calendar, where it's currently marked as free, it can still move around. You haven't RSVP'd yet, and it's sort of reserved on your calendar for your view, but it's not visible to others looking at your calendar. Now, Reclaim automatically will initially schedule things as free for most events, where there's flexibility for it to automatically reschedule to the next best time if something more important comes up at that time. And then it will automatically flip it to busy, where you will see it turn into a solid time block where it's defended on your calendar and is visible to others viewing your calendar so they can't book a time there or shouldn't book a time there. We also have this collapsible sidebar here where you have an overview of your priorities. So this is all of the current smart events that Reclaim is scheduling for you by priority. Reclaim has 4 priority categories from low to critical, where you can tell Reclaim in order what's most important, what you want to make time for. A lot of times people have more to do in the week than they actually have time for, and this allows you to make those trade-offs automatically, or let Reclaim make those trade-offs for you so that you have time for the most important things first. And then you have your tasks tab here, which is all of your sort of to-dos that you're working on, again, with that overview where you can manage different tasks, change the priority of events, and manage your tasks that way. All of your smart features live on this sidebar here, where we have the planner view, the priorities, which we just talked about in the sidebar. This is sort of your overview of priorities in different columns, where you can manage your priorities across different smart events. And then we have our features here. So we're going to start with habits, which is our most popular feature, and for good reason. Habits are a fantastic way to make recurring time for those things that you have routines for on the calendar. Now, you might already be using recurring events in Google Calendar, for example, where you have, say, lunch on the calendar at 12 p.m. every single day. Again, going back to that problem of flexibility, having lunch as a recurring sort of static event at 12 o'clock every day isn't very realistic. You might have an important client meeting that you'd be happy to move your lunch for, but your calendar doesn't know that. With Reclaim's smarter habits, you can tell Reclaim a flexible time range for how you want to be available for a habit like lunch, for example, but anything that you need recurring time for. And Reclaim flexibly adapts your habit to your schedule as it changes. So this is a lunch habit that's already scheduling in my calendar, but I want to take a look at this form, and this is how most of the other smart features also schedule, and this gives you an idea of those scheduling rules. So for all of your habits, and we have over 100 templates that you can get started with as well, lunch being one of them, which you can fully customize. You have these forms where you can tell Reclaim scheduling rules for how you want these habits to schedule. Give your habit a title, add an emoji if you want, select the priority. So this will inform Reclaim how aggressively you want to prioritize the habit on your calendar as it books up. In this case, it's medium priority, which means that it will overbook or be prioritized ahead of low priority events, but can be overbooked or bumped by critical or high priority events that are more important. You can select your category, whether that's a work habit or a personal habit. In this case, lunch is a personal habit here. And here we have those scheduling rules that I've been talking about. You can set a duration from a minimum, so the least amount of time that you want to have defended for this habit, and the maximum amount of time you want to have defended for this habit, which again gives Reclaim a little bit more flexibility. If you have an hour for a lunch break, that's awesome. Reclaim will schedule that. But say a more high priority meeting comes up at that time, if Reclaim can squeeze in 15 minutes, it will do that automatically so that you have time for lunch without it being the static event that you have to manually go in and adjust and end up losing your lunch anyway. Tell Reclaim when you want to schedule this habit. We have our default hours, working, meeting, and personal hours for when certain events schedule. You can also build out custom default hours for things like day theming, or if you have different clients that you work across, something like that, you can build out those custom options, or you can select one-off hours, which will schedule hours for this specific event. Here you can customize when you want to be available. You can select the days that you want it to schedule. You can add multiple time ranges to a single day, and tell Reclaim how you want to be available for this habit. So in this case, instead of it being at 12 o'clock every single day, happy to have lunch, at the earliest at 11:30 and then no later than 1:30, because that doesn't really make any sense. And Reclaim will find time around your availability between those times. Select the frequency. Again, lunch is a daily habit, for example, but you could have events that are quarterly or monthly or weekly to make sure that those get scheduled as well. You can give Reclaim an ideal time, in this case, noon, and Reclaim will schedule that, or ideally schedule it at that time if it's available. You can set habits out to start after a certain date. You can add notes. Notes for habits are Markdown supporting, so you can add things like headers or links to reports, for example, if you have to update in a report and you have a habit, so you don't have to go looking for that doc once the time starts on your calendar, and it will be automatically added to the event on the calendar. You also have visibility settings for your events, which is great for people with busy teams. Obviously, there might be habits that you want to keep private, whether that's, going to the gym or spending time with family or going on a date night. But in this case, I'm happy for my team to know when I'm taking lunch to avoid those interruptions and create more context around what I'm busy with, which is really great with these. And all Reclaim features offer this visibility setting as well. And these are all of the settings that Reclaim needs to start finding time on your calendar for a habit. You have advanced options as well, where you can add additional collaborative features to invite other team members to your habit. And then we have this neat feature to avoid duplicate events, which is great for something like lunch, for example, where you can add keywords that Reclaim will scan your calendar for to avoid double booking you. So if Reclaim sees that you have a team lunch on the calendar, for example, it won't also schedule your habit on that day since you're already having a lunch break. And you can auto decline interruptions for your most important habits as well. And it will treat it as sort of like an out of office event, so you have no interruptions while you are taking care of that habit. Now, if we take a look at our lunch habit, we can see all of our upcoming events that are coming up around those time ranges that are set on the calendar. In this case, the time zones are a little weird because I'm on the East Coast and this is currently set for the West Coast. So that's why it looks later than what we saw in the form. And in the planner, we will have our lunch habit schedule. If I go ahead a week here, for example, have our lunch habit scheduling, as you can see, not at the same time every day, but flexibly around how I'm available. In this case, we have the team lunch on Wednesday, so there's no lunch habit scheduled, and having that flexibility there for that. So that's habits, great for those recurring routines that you want to make time for on a regular basis. And you can always update those settings as time changes. You can pause habits or disable them so that they're not currently scheduling. And one of the great things too with Reclaim is that, while you are building out this plan around all of your priorities, and Reclaim does its job to create that plan based on everything that you said you wanted to do, you're still always in control. Say that, I didn't really want to take care of this right now, and I had time to take care of a different habit, say afternoon catch up. It's not the afternoon, but whatever. I could hit start habit now, and Reclaim will move it to right now and adjust my calendar accordingly so that I can take care of it now and still log that work and track my time accordingly. Let's see if we have any questions for habits. No? Okay, great. Let's move on to tasks. And tasks are a little bit different than habits in that they're not that recurring event that you want to make time for, a recurring routine, but those one-off to-dos that you want to make sure you have time for on the calendar to get done. A lot of times we have these endless to-do lists with all of the tasks that we need to get done every week, but finding that time on your calendar to actually work on it, especially if you juggle a heavy meeting load, can be really, really difficult sometimes. And tasks allow you to, similar to habits, book that time on your calendar to actually have that dedicated heads down work, protected from meetings, protected from other commitments, so that you can actually get your projects done before they're due. Creating a new task, again, is very simple. And here we have sort of a mini version of that form that we just looked at Habits in Depth, where you can add a task name, select the priority for how you want it to schedule, add the duration for how long you need for the task. You can choose to split up your longer tasks, which is great for busy calendars, especially. Obviously, 7 hours might not be easily available on your calendar, but maybe 30 minutes, with a minimum, and then the max being 2 hours, that might be a little bit more realistic. So splitting that up automatically. Again, selecting when you want those to schedule during your certain hours, or if you have, say, custom hours developed for deep work or content days. If you want to day theme your week, you can select those. Again, you have a starting date, so you could say, this task isn't due until March. I'm happy to wait until March 1st to start it, and then you add your deadline. And Reclaim finds time on the calendar, again, around your availability with flexible time blocks to get that task done. Now, when you have all your tasks here, you have it on your task list in the planner in that task sidebar, like I mentioned earlier, and then here in your tasks tab as well. And if you notice, there's two sort of sections. You have your task list, and then you have this up next green section. Reclaim uses priority settings that we have for all of those smart events on the calendar to create a schedule that is optimized around the priorities that you've told Reclaim are more important. Now, with tasks, you might have something that becomes an urgency or needs to get done sooner. Dragging a task to up next prioritizes it ahead of all your other tasks, regardless of those priority settings. So in this case, you might have a task that is a lower priority and up next that's going to be scheduled ahead of this task list because you want to make sure that you're working on it ASAP for whatever reason. Tasks in the up next section are stack rankable, so that you can drag and drop them, and Reclaim will prioritize the up next tasks in order on your calendar, regardless of the priority of any other tasks. This is great to sort of stay on top of your upcoming deadlines, due dates, as your schedule changes or as those priorities change as well, so that you're a little bit more in control of that intelligence scheduling, so that you have a plan for where you want your time to be dedicated next. Reclaim also has task integrations, which is really powerful for users who might be using project management platforms with their team or independently across things like Google Tasks tasks, Todoist, Linear, Jira, Asana, and ClickUp, where you can automatically sync your tasks from those platforms into Reclaim as smart tasks, smart flexible tasks that schedule time on your calendar to get those tasks done. For ClickUp and Todoist, we have these additional settings for rules where you can select what spaces you want to sync from, what tags you want to be syncing tasks from, what hours you want those to sync during, and really customize your schedule so that you're having time to get those projects done around the flexibility that you want to be available for. Now, I've mentioned hours quite a few times across these features, so I'm going to take a look at hours next. These live under your settings tab, where we have a bunch of settings across how Reclaim is finding time and building out your schedule. Your hours, like I mentioned, we have these 3 default hours for your working, meeting, and personal hours when Reclaim schedules default events like tasks, habits, and then your meeting events too, which we'll go over next. And you can customize these again to fit your personal preferences. Your working hours when you want to be available for tasks and habits, or have that option to select for those. Again, you can select different days, add multiple time ranges to certain days, your meeting hours for smart one-on-ones and scheduling link meetings, which we'll go over next. And then your personal hours for your personal tasks and habits, which you can also make time for with Reclaim, so that your day is not only dedicated around your work priorities during the workday, but also scheduling your time and your personal time for those priorities as well, because they're just as important. And then here we have our custom hours, which is available on all paid plans, where you can build out additional day theming for certain days. If you want to have, say, a day dedicated to content or blog writing or updating reports or whatever that might be. You could have customer meeting hours that you'd be able to share with certain scheduling links and really build out any hours that you want to be available for anything. We also have our color settings, where you can automatically color code your calendar according to categories. The colors that are available are the ones that are available in Google Calendar, so that's why we are limited to these. We get that question sometimes. But you can set these to build out a calendar that is visually appealing to you, so it's a tool that you enjoy using every day, and as well give you a visual overview of where your time is going, which is really helpful there as well. You can color code only Reclaim created events or all events on your calendar, where Reclaim will intelligently identify what category it falls into, so that you have an automatically color coded calendar, which again is a huge time saver, especially if you've ever spent time manually color coding your calendar. And then we have our integration settings, which is where all those task integrations live, as well as all other integrations with different tools, including Zoom and Slack, as well as our Google Calendar add-on for Reclaim, which is free for all users. Let's see if we have any other questions. All right. Now, I've been working in Reclaim here a bunch, but I want to quickly jump into Google Calendars so that we can take a look at how that looks. Our Google Calendar add-on is available in the Google Workspace Marketplace, which I have linked in the chat of the webinar, as well as in the description for the stream. You can install it. Again, it's free for all Reclaim users, and it automatically adds the Reclaim add-on to your Google Calendar sidebar here, where you have similar controls to what we've seen in the planner view, where you can start and stop tasks and habits, manage your priorities, see what meetings you have coming up, and essentially manage your schedule from in Google Calendar if that's where you prefer managing your time already. All of Reclaim's scheduling is also fully adaptable, so you can extend times, you can drag and drop events to a different time, say that you need more time for something, and Reclaim will automatically adapt that across both platforms. Obviously, Google Calendar, there's no dashed outlines here, so all events have an additional emoji to indicate whether they're marked as free or busy, with a shield for busy or a free emoji for free events. And again, Reclaim automatically locks those down once that time draws near, or you have fewer times to reschedule it around your availability. When you do drag and drop or adjust an event manually, Reclaim will automatically lock it so that it honors that adjustment as your new preference, essentially giving you full control of your calendar, even though it is scheduling. And as you just saw, it automatically adapted to that change as well, so that it is always running the simulations to make sure that your time is best used across all of your priorities. Now, I've walked through some of the personal priorities between like habits and tasks, how you make time for those independent priorities and responsibilities on your calendar, but Reclaim also has powerful collaborative tools. One being Smart OneOnOnes, which was our first meeting tool, which is incredible, especially for managers or anyone who is juggling multiple one-on-one meetings every week. One-on-one meetings are one of the most popular meeting events on calendars, but they are also one of the most rescheduled or canceled events in the calendar every week. And Reclaim allows you to, again, like having a virtual assistant, automatically schedule time for your one-on-one meetings on the calendar at the best time for both attendees, which is just a game changer. If you're juggling 10 one-on-one meetings a week and finding time for those manually, imagine what you could do with that time if someone was scheduling all of those for you, and not only scheduling them, but also giving you the option to automatically reschedule them to the next best time if a conflict comes up, both as the organizer of the Smart One-on-One or the attendee. You can automatically convert detected one-on-one meetings to Smart One-on-Ones to make it super simple. These will all live under the Detected tab in the Smart One-on-Ones page here. And if we take a look at the form for these Smart One-on-Ones, again, we have a very similar look to what we've seen for tasks and habits, where you can add links to agendas or notes, add the priority for how you want this to schedule around your events. Again, if you're juggling 10 Smart One-on-Ones on top of a heavy meeting schedule and different tasks, making sure that your most important one-on-ones get scheduled. Priorities are a great way to, again, make those trade-offs so that your most important events are always prioritized on your calendar. Setting the duration and the frequency at which you want to meet, the hours that you want to be available for this meeting, selecting an ideal day and time. You know, a lot of times you might have a recurring meeting that's always on Tuesdays, but you'd be happy to meet on Thursday as long as you had time with that important person to connect and touch base. Reclaim, again, takes out the toil of finding time to connect across two busy calendars and automatically finds time so that you have the priority of meeting and getting that FaceTime rather than struggling to schedule it. Again, the starting date, adding automatic video conferencing links that will be added to the event for Google Meet or Zoom, or you could add a manual location or video conferencing link as well. And if we look at the planner at one of our Smart One-on-One events, let's see where we got one. Patrick and Nazim here. We can see all of our upcoming events for our Smart One-on-One, and we can also reschedule or automatically cancel in one click, both again as the organizer in this case or as an attendee, so that if something comes up and you are not going to be able to make it, you don't have to send an email and find, you know, back and forth next best time to connect. So I'm going to hit reschedule, say another day, and Reclaim is going to find the next best time on both people's calendars to connect instead. Again, super simple. What a great way to get that time back for more important things. Obviously, there's a lot going on here, so there's a lot more that could be better used for that time. Scheduling links, unlike Smart One-on-Ones, where you have sort of those recurring meetings with one-on-one or one-on-one meetings, scheduling links are how you share your availability with others, whether that's for external meetings or even on your team, essentially sharing a booking link where you have your availability open and others can select a time to meet with you. Now, there's lots of tools that do this, and there's a few ways that Reclaim is different. For the first one is that Reclaim offers multiple flexible durations for a meeting. So in this case, this is what my booking page looks like. This is all of my meeting events for this booking page. If I click on my high priority meeting, this is obviously how you would see it as a viewer. You can add multiple durations to a single link so that your invitee can actually choose when and how they want to meet with you. Obviously, 45 minutes on a busy calendar are going to be a lot harder to come by than, say, 15 minutes, which give a lot more option. And again, giving that control back in sort of an etiquette or an ideal etiquette way to say, you know, hey, here's my booking link, find time to meet with me, but also I care about getting this meeting in on the books, and this meeting is important to me. You know, there's actual availability. There's nothing worse than sharing a meeting link for an hour, saying, you know, here's my booking link, find a time to meet, can't wait to connect, and your next available meeting slot that's actually open on your calendar is 2 weeks out. Doesn't exactly say your time is important to me and I can't wait to connect. In this case, Reclaim's priority settings, which again, we've talked about across all these different events, help you create meeting links that also offer up custom priority and availability. So your critical scheduling link meetings are going to offer up any other event on your calendar that's high priority, medium priority, or low priority as an available time for that scheduling link. And the invitee is going to see that as available time. If they book a time or a meeting with you over top of a lower priority event, Reclaim will take care of automatically rescheduling that event to the next best time. But it allows you to make sure that your most important meetings are prioritized like any other event on your calendar without you having to go in and manually clear events from your calendar to, you know, before sharing the meeting with an important client or an investor, to make sure that you actually have that open time before you share your link. So again, getting that time saving back, optimizing your scheduling etiquette as well, and making sure that your calendar, again, automatically is prioritizing the things that are most important to you and having that customization there. Obviously, you could have lower priority meetings for events that are that you are happy to push out a little bit. Say medium priority meeting link will only show lower priority events as available times, as well as obviously your actual open empty time slots. But being able to, again, share your availability with that customized setting. We also have team links. Another exciting feature update that's coming soon is smart meeting events, which is going to work off sort of the basis of smart one-on-ones, where you have that automated recurring time at the best time for everyone. But this will be available for busy teams. So finding availability not only across 2 busy calendars, but across multiple team members' availability, time zones, and preferences, which is really exciting. I know we're coming up on time. Let's see if we have any other questions. No? All right. We have a couple other settings here under the settings. We have default task settings that allow you to optimize your your task creation when you don't want to fill out all of those details manually every time. So this will be how Reclaim auto fills that task form when you go to create it. We have buffer time and breaks, which is great as well for auto scheduling time to take a breather, decompress after meetings, or add travel time before and after events with a location so that you can get to where you're going and back. And again, building out a calendar that protects not only your productivity and getting everything on the calendar before it's due, before those deadlines come up, but also allowing you to prioritize your self-care and having, a little bit of a brain break throughout the day, whether that's after task and habit events or after your meetings as well. All right, we've got 1 minute left. One thing I want to mention too, everything that I talked about today and more is available in our setup guide, which lives under the settings tab here. Our setup guide goes through all of our features, concepts, settings, so that you can learn about Reclaim as you go and get all of that information that I've talked about and more, since we're only got half an hour together, to walk through getting set up, best practices, tips and tricks to get the most out of your time. Your setup guide is always available here, where you can review things that come up, core concepts like flexible time blocking or priorities and how those work, as well as resources for learning about Reclaim. We've got a help center that is full of valuable documentation around integrations especially, but all of our features. So that all lives there as well. We have our webinar if you ever wanted to join for another one. We have our support team that's always available if you run into issues or need any other additional support getting set up or run into an issue here. We have team onboardings if you do have a team of 5 or more to connect for a private demo. Product videos on our YouTube channel where these live streamed events are also available for on-demand rewatching, as well as our product updates across our launch notes, which you can subscribe to for things that are on our roadmap, put in requests for new roadmap or feature requests, and reach out to that team as well. I think that's just about everything. One thing that we didn't get to is calendar sync, which I'm just going to run over a few minutes so that we can cover this real quick too. If you are someone that juggles multiple schedules, calendar sync is a very powerful feature that a lot of our users use Reclaim for, cover Reclaim for specifically. And it allows you to copy and sync events from a destination or a source calendar to a destination calendar so that your time is available and accurately depicted on your primary calendar. You could have, say, a work calendar, a personal calendar, and an additional side gig calendar. And you have, 3 calendars that you're juggling, but you still only have the same 24 hours in a day. It's really easy to get double booked across different schedules when other people can't see what your availability is like on other calendars. And Reclaim's calendar sync makes it super easy to set up these syncs where Reclaim copies events to your, destination calendar, whether that's your work calendar, so that time is actually blocked off with custom visibility settings so that you don't get double booked over a doctor's appointment again, because your team can see that you're busy, even if you don't want them to see actual details for that event, where it will just show as a personal commitment or a busy time block, but making sure that you don't get double booked across different calendars. So you can set them up with the new sync here. Again, that's all in our setup guide as well, if you did want to take a look at that. I think that's about everything. I'm going to stick around if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me. One other page that we did not get to is our Reclaim stats, which pretty self-explanatory, allows you to see where your time goes every week and track that across different time ranges so that you can track your calendar auditing and make sure that your time is dedicated to the things that you want it to be dedicated to, and make those adjustments for future planning as well. If you are on a team, you can also view your team stats, which is really great because it allows you to see where the team's time is going without invading that personal privacy, because the averages are averaged across the entire team anonymously, so you can see, problem areas for the team rather than having to track where everyone's time is going explicitly. And now it's going to take a long time loading, but that's stats. Again, Reclaim has a great free plan that you can explore and trial all of these premium features as well, if you did want to sign up or if you haven't signed up already. But thank you so much for joining me. I'll see if there's any other questions. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on social or on emails and any other future webinars if you decide to join. So thank you so much for joining. I don't see any other questions. All right. Hope everyone has a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.